Steve Shank of eFoods Direct, because he's the biggest storable foods maker in the country. It's all right here in the U.S. And he said, you won't believe how prices are already going up. But the media for wholesalers was lying about that, saying, oh, there's no inflation. Then a year ago, he said, get ready, it's really about to go up. Then 6 months ago, he said, I got to go up on prices for the first time in a decade. McDonald's is announcing massive price increases of their adulterated, junk food. World food prices jumped to record on sugar and oil seeds. And this is out of Bloomberg today. Here's another one again, McDonald's announcing they're going to have to go up in their food prices. Obama tells us the world economic rules have changed. Basically, they're our new boss. The issue is, I wanted to bring Steve on. He's a sponsor, but I called him last week. I said, I want to have you as a guest. I mean, really as a guest here, because you are there. You are getting the raw materials, the non-GMO, non-hybrid food, without all the adulterations. You're putting it together. You're dealing with it. You understand that you predicted this, or I guess already saw it happening, to give us your expertise on just, I mean, there's already food riots all over the world going on right now. I mean, you see it in the news. And I'm not, for what I've been told by inside sources is it's not that you won't be able to get food, you won't be able to afford it because of the inflation. That's what Lindsey Williams has been saying. So I remember 2 years ago going, come on, Steve, even if there's inflation, it's not going to be that bad. And he goes, look, you don't understand. I'm already seeing it. Well, now he's seeing an acceleration. So I wanted to bring Steve Shank from eFoodsDirect.com up with us because he made the point 2 years ago, a year ago, this stuff lasts more than 10 years. It's high quality, very tasty. He said, buy it now and it passes on the savings later. See, but that's not why he's here. He's here to talk about his inside view on this and how he was the first person I heard talk about this more than, I guess it was 3 years ago on our show. Steve Shank, thank you for joining us.
Alex, it's great to be with you again. I appreciate the work you do.
I'm really sad to say you're right. I wish you were wrong, Steve.
So do I. You know, as I see this unfolding, there are times when you look at what you've seen coming. And, I'm out there in the mainstream. We're trying to buy the raw materials for the foods that we work with about a year ahead of time. We're contracting them out a year ahead of time just for the simple reason that as the shortages continue to occur and the prices go up, we have to do that in order to ensure that people can be fed. But, you and I talked, and it was actually more than 3 years ago, Alex. And the one thing that we talked about was the fact that at some point in time, everyone on the planet would be thinking only of the issue of food. All roads, all thoughts, all actions, all circumstances, all economies, everything would be about food. And I hate to say this, my friend, but we are there. Nations are telling people to plant gardens, and it's too late to plant gardens. It's absolutely absurd. We've got a
yeah. That's really scary to hear the federal government and FEMA now saying plant gardens.
Yeah. When they say it, you know that it's their last resort, because at the same time they're trying to pass legislation, which obviously, hopefully won't pass, legislation to restrict people from planting gardens, because if they happen to come up with E. coli or salmonella in one shape or form, then they'll be tracked back and condemned for it. But we have so many dichotomies in our thinking. But let me tell you the three issues we've got. We've got food, we've got energy, and we've got money. Those three issues that we're facing right now are feeding a worldwide famine that's now, here we go with the numbers, Alex, it's now in its 6th year. Now, there are many who are studying the scriptures and are of a Christian belief that are starting to see that this probably is that 7-year famine that was predicted in the book of Revelation.
Well, I certainly hope that's not the case, but regardless, we know that it's crippling the third world nations, food riots everywhere. We still have the dollar as the world reserve currency, but as Hu Jintao talks down the dollar, as the dollar's devalued, unfortunately, historical facts say it's going to come here.
Well, the fact is that, like I say, I don't want to get into the 7-year famine thing, but we're in the 6th year of one, whatever the heck the deal is. But here are the 3 factors that flow together, and everything comes down to food. Food, energy, money. Just think food, energy, money. Now, what's happening is as the energy is challenged, in other words, the oil, which is right now worldwide based on the dollar, and they're trying desperately to keep nations from changing from the dollar to buy oil with to other currencies. But the fact is, as we're printing the daylights out of this funny money that the Fed keeps pounding out into the economy, we're now at $2 trillion as opposed to $800 billion in the economy. It's just absolutely absurd. And what's happening is that is causing fuel prices, the oil, to go up, which is causing a problem with the food. We've got riots all over the world with regard to food because of the high costs of oil and not only the transport but the ability to grow the food. So we've got just an insane situation as they continue to print this counterfeit money by the trillions. It's completely destroying the economy of the world, and it is centering all of its focus, all of the results of this money printing and the energy problems on food. Food is now the one issue on the minds of every government leader worldwide.
And they've been paying people not to use the cord as animal or human feed, but to use it as ethanol. And then I see headlines like Walmart offers new makeup line for 8 to 12-year-olds for anti-aging. They want to put statins in the drugs for children, statins in the water, statin drugs to stop cholesterol. I have an article here out of, and following where I'm going with this, folks, thestatesman.com, Travis County offers $48,500 to bicycle accident victim. Woman was seriously injured after hitting large crack in road near Manor. She's out on a country road that don't even really have shoulders. She hits a crack, sues them, and they settle for $48,000. This is a ninnying nation. We've gone from the pioneers to people that think if they're out bike riding with a group of bike riders on a country road and hit a pothole and wreck and breaks her jaw, that the taxpayers have got to pay for it. We got 90% of people living urban. In the Great Depression, right at 90%, 89% if you want to be technical, were rural and self-sufficient. Of the rural people, which are 10%, maybe half are fully self-sufficient. If we have another full depression, which we're clearly sliding into, can you imagine the nightmare scenario with ninnying, entitled? A lot of Americans are hardworking. The hardest, others are these entitled slobs who literally want somebody to wipe their own hind end. And I'm sorry to have to talk like that, Steve, but what is this army of self-propelled stomachs who expect everything on a silver platter? What are they going to do if they don't have money because it's been devalued to buy that food like Weimar Republic, and we know we're going that direction? What are they going to do? I mean, I guess we just have to have our firearms to protect ourselves and try to take over our counties and cities through the system so that we're prepared, but the feds are taking them over for martial law. They're gearing up for what they've set up. But, I mean, it just seems like a nightmare perfect storm scenario, Steve.
Alex, it absolutely is. And if you look at, you asked to discuss the issue of food and the high cost of it and the inflation and everything that's going on. There are five things that are happening, and if you don't mind, let me go through those real quickly. That will be very useful as people think about what's going on with food. It's like the currents in the ocean. You float along in a boat on top of the ocean, but people don't realize that the currents underneath, these great highways underneath the surface of the water, are connecting continents, and there's a whole completely different environment down there than they ever imagined. What we've got is an undercurrent within our economies, and it's all connected with food. Number one, When the banks were bailed out, they started refusing giving loans to farmers and to grocery stores to buy the produce, to farmers to plant and grow the food that we need. The ethanol thing that you brought up, you and I have talked about this ethanol fiasco many times, and oddly enough, the same environmentalists that were screaming for ethanol are now trying to sue to get ethanol stopped because it's bad for the environment. Come on, give me a break. But the fact is that corn in October of this last year had gone up by 45%. Now, corn is important as animal feed, things like that, but we've got a mandate that says that it has to be put into your fuel tank when we've got starving Americans. You put that all together, the whole ethanol fiasco we could spend an hour on just by itself, and how it's destroying the quantity of food that we can grow in this country, and the ability of people to afford food, just because the cost of the animal feed that is being replaced by fuel for our vehicles is going up, so that a lot of the farmers that are raising our livestock and things are literally going out of business. It goes on and on and on from there. And then the next thing, oddly enough, what's affecting the cost of food in many of these nations is war, because some of these countries are shutting down the ability of the transport of oil because they disagree with what the United States is doing with regard to their war activities. And as a result of shutting down the fuel and the oil, food can't be transported, and we've got riots in various countries.
And by the way, to interrupt, Steve, while you're talking, we're putting up mainstream news articles confirming this, but just like they say unemployment is 9.7 when it's really over 22, even 60 Minutes admits that, California is up at 33. They're lying and saying it's only going up 2 to 3% per year, but anybody can go to the store and see, even though they're adding more fillers and it's getting lower quality, it's going up 10, 20% or more. And I wanted to talk about Bloomberg. Robini says jump in food energy price can topple regimes. Another one, grain soybeans rise as food riots spur demand for U.S. exports. Here's another one, risk of riots rising as governments cut food subsidies. UN Shuren says. We're about to go to break. We're going to do a couple more segments with you, Steve, but the reason I got you on here, and I know you're listing things that are all true, briefly, though, and I want to come back and talk about the actual facts, I want people to get prepared. I mean, I'm prepared. I got firearms. I got storable foods. I got water filters. I don't drink sodium fluoride water. My kids have never had vaccines. I promote what I believe in here. And I know from the storable food I bought, a lot of it's old or crud. The stuff I got from you is awesome. And you've got a full spectrum line of really high-quality foods. You got a bunch of specials you're running. I do want to throw that in there before we go to break. Tell folks briefly about some of the specials. The website's efoodsdirect.com, and give folks the website.
Well, the interesting thing is that the winter special that we've got is connected with all of the soups. The prepared soups that we've got, all you do is boil water and throw them in there, and it's a wonderful meal. It's extremely nutritious. It's the best food on the planet, and that's combined with bakery items. And it's just a winter special for comfort food for the winter. And what you can do is it's 20% off, just because we need people to get their stock up, their savings account and food up, and this is a good time to do it. And so that winter special is listed on efoodsdirect.com/Alex. People can find it there. And the main concern that we have is getting as many people fed and prospered as we possibly can, as this thing is sinking into the quagmire, Alex.
All right. Well, it's good advice. You know, the ant saves food, the grasshopper doesn't. We know the parable of that. efoodsdirect.com/Alex. Big banners up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll also give you